Hey, thanks for clicking on this video. Just a quick disclaimer before the video goes on. There's going to be plenty of spoilers in this video. Just a warning. Also, I do not own the rights to any of the clips, music, or images throughout this video. All Three Stooges trademarks rightfully belong to C3 Entertainment. We are in no way profiting from the Three Stooges name. And again, thanks for checking this out. Enjoy.
Well, I guess we start with...
Who do we start with?
How do we start?
What is nothing?
Nothing has an end.
Nothing has an end.
What is nothing? What is something?
Something is this movie.
No, that's deep.
Oh, God.
Devon?
No. That's cinema.
Okay, do you want to go first? What do you think? What do you think? Be honest. Be honest.
Does nothing has an end mean nothing has an end? Or nothing has an end?
That's up to you. That's up for you to decide.
Exactly.
It's your interpretation.
For me, I saw it as there is nothing in this world that has an end.
Yeah.
That's what I
Nothing.
yeah. I never thought about it the other way. I don't even know if you can.
Nothing. The word has an end.
Yeah, it ends in G.
Okay, sorry. Hold on. I want to let
G?
Devon. Hold on. I want to let Devon speak.
No, but that's how we do. We always do.
We do.
I feel like this is my first time seeing it, so
Yeah.
you're putting me on this spot.
No,
I feel like I need to let it sit.
Yeah, no,
That's fine. That's
we can
fine.
talk
Well,
about
at least
it.
at least if I'm gonna speak,
Yeah.
I just
Okay.
know I'm not like confident in any like specific.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
and
I
honest-
wasn't either
dude,
until like these fuckers were
That's
talking
true.
about
With a
it.
movie like this, it's hard to really talk about it because it's less than 2 hours long.
That's the craziest part.
It's
of the
less
movie.
than 2 hours long, and it did that.
Yeah.
When I think about that, that's crazy because it feels like so much happened. Oh my god.
Let's hear the shit out of it.
So much happened.
So much happens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like
This will be good to have in the background.
Like when he poked that guy's butthole.
Yeah, he did. He went.
Yeah,
The rainbow.
No,
people.
this
Oh my
This-
gosh.
this feels like it was on. This was like created on another planet. Like this
Yeah.
wasn't. This doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
So many times when I'm like during scenes, I like forget that I exist. Literally,
Yeah,
I'm watching
you
it
just-
and I'm like, wait.
Sucked into it.
See, I have the opposite effect. I think it's
It embraces reality.
No, it's just like
Carlos be like, "Whoa, I'm a human. I'm in this bitch."
yeah. I mean, no. It's more like as far as like an actual like movie, something
Yeah.
being made, it's incredibly impressive.
Yes.
It's like what the fuck. I think about it more in the sense of like, look at these sets, look at this production.
Yeah.
Trust me, I
Look at
recognize
the
that.
look at the people
Dude,
that
it's
is just
like-
involved in
I
this.
want to know how.
how this was made.
Yeah, who
Apparently a
That
beetle.
dude, the
a
red.
beetle.
Oh yeah, John Lennon produced
Lennon.
it.
Yeah.
That's not a
Yeah.
lie.
A beetle gave him money.
That red tower, dude, that he climbs on the hook.
I
Like,
know that was like he could have died there.
Yeah.
I'm sure like that was just like no. There's no
It's
fucking
like,
safety
dude.
precautions. There's nothing.
dude.
Nothing has an end.
But yeah, Carlos,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no,
The
but no.
sheer
I,
amount of fake semen to be
fake semen and
It was all
like just
real.
like there's like every single animal ever in this movie. Not
Yeah.
not really, but like you know what I'm
It's
saying.
Noah's whole ark.
honestly, yeah.
Like, yeah, so
It's-
many
yes.
animals. It's so funny. It's so bizarre. The whole time it keeps me engaged. Even though I will say like with this type of movie, especially this one, like this particular one, I don't try to like. If I were to sit here and try to pick apart every single scene, I would be lost
It's
in the
pointless.
beginning. And I don't really think I need to with this one. I can pick up general themes, general things that it's talking about, but there's still stuff that
Oh
baffles me
yeah,
and that
name
I don't.
10.
10? No, I can think of one or two.
Can't. You can't.
But it's like with this movie, I don't mind that. I don't think I want to decipher. I mean, I could, and I'm sure there are explanations to everything, and it's all. I mean, everything has to have a purpose, or maybe not. But I don't know. It just keeps me engaged with it the entire time. I think it's really funny.
I'm of the opinion that it should have like some kind of thought and purpose.
I know there definitely is.
I think that, like,
there definitely
there
is.
I think there is.
Like, do you mean like it has to
Make
like
complete
have
sense?
a meaning and make complete sense? Because for me, I see it as if like if he had just an idea, like artistically, then that is enough to warrant it, existing.
the
you know what I
purpose
mean?
of the film,
Yeah.
even. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't have to have like a direct meaning. It just has to kind of sometimes it just speaks for itself. You know what I mean? But I
I
feel,
don't know. I feel like I could try to like push back on that a little bit in a way, or at least kind of like want
Yeah,
to
no,
elaborate
it's not so. Yeah, no, it's
'Cause I
definitely
would-
it's definitely a thing where it's like, it's not so much like, oh, I 100% agree with that. You know what I mean? But I think that like we could talk about that later. I just kind of want to talk about that's an interesting conversation though.
Well,
Just
I
kinda wanna talk about the
feel like
movie.
it can apply to this too.
Like
Kinda
what?
what I was saying,
Yeah.
like where it's like, okay, maybe something specific doesn't have some specific like explainable reason for being.
Of course not.
But if it's just to create a certain feeling or like give
Yeah.
a certain vibe, that in itself
Exactly.
is
No,
the
that's
purpose.
the
we
point I'm
agree.
trying to make.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we
yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because for
But
Chris,
that,
style
but that
is
in itself,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that it's not there on purpose or lacking meaning.
Yeah.
itself.
Okay. So
Every single scene from this was thought out. I think
Yeah.
purposeful,
Oh, yeah.
had vision.
yeah.
There
Oh,
was
yeah,
no
no.
like.
There's nobody you could
There's
just
no
like.
bullshit, you know? It's just
It's
so
really
real.
not.
There's no bullshit. There's no bullshit.
I was gonna
I
say.
think there was actual literal
Shit.
bullshit.
There
No, there was shit. There's no bullshit.
I think that like something about this movie that will remain untouchable until the end of time is just how singular it is, how much of a voice it has, how much of a vision it has,
It's one of a
how
kind.
unique it is. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. It's just because Jodorowsky's style is like, I would say, really one of a kind in and of itself. People relate it to Fellini, and like I would say, because Fellini's very dreamlike, his his
Yeah.
kind of atmosphere, his aesthetic. This is
Fellini-esque.
acid trip dream.
Yeah.
This is like
And Fellini's just much more like. This is just
Fellini's more whimsical.
Yeah, this is just like disgusting and gross and grimy sometimes.
Yeah, and but like visually still stunning, and like
Yeah.
you know, both in like, okay, if you're talking about like being objective and looking at it, like Carlos said, from a technical like standpoint, it is
Exactly.
so incredibly impressive. Like,
Oh, yeah,
in
no.
every aspect of the way, the music, the
And it
set
looks
designs,
great.
the
It looks
colors,
great,
yeah,
yeah.
the colors, the this honestly, even though like yeah, okay, you could say it's kind of like shitty dubbed or whatever. I guess you could.
I think that adds to
It,
it.
it's funny it adds to
That
it,
the
but
movie.
I was gonna
It's
say the
just
sound
funny.
design is great
It's
too.
so funny.
It's just like
It definitely
yeah,
is
man,
deliberate.
it's
It
just-
has to be.
I
And
know.
it's not that it's funny.
and
to write.
I love the writing. Like I think, like dude, every piece of this is brilliant. Like it fails in no aspect. It doesn't even do weak in any
I
aspect.
think that part of like it being so silly adds to the point of the movie.
Yes.
Because like a lot of the huge purpose of the film is just kind of like humbling yourself, and that he kind of like, I don't want to say like he wasn't really like so like uppity with this. You know what
No,
I mean? He
yeah.
wasn't like you said, like pinky in the air, but you know,
Yeah,
because
it's not like
yeah.
snobbish.
No,
he just wants you to.
Is there not even a degree of that?
I would say no.
I think
I
because the
would
movie,
say I wouldn't say that encapsulates, but I think there's a degree of that, and there's a bit of not a good amount of. I don't think it's necessarily negative and bad that Jodorowsky has like an ego and stuff, but I think he does, and it's clear.
He does tend to. No, he
I
Jodorowsky
mean,
as a
he
person.
he does
separate from the
cast
film.
himself as like the.
Well, yeah, he does, but separate from. Well, that's kind of the point too, because it's his movie, and he's trying to
Yeah.
guide the audience. That's the point.
Exactly.
But also, separate from this movie, forget about this movie for just a second, if you can. The Jodorowsky as a person, not a good person. Definitely strokes his own cock a lot of the times. The dude is like definitely full of himself in a lot of ways.
and
Not a good
alleged
person.
scumbag.
Alleged
Oh,
scumbag.
Really,
But for
alleged
me,
scumbag,
I
but-
would say that comes
Really
through
bad.
in none of his movies at all.
That's what I'm saying. That's
It
the point I'm
doesn't.
making. It's like it doesn't. I mean, to me, I've only watched three of his movies, and like
Sure.
even Santa Sangre, which is like probably his most like personal and intimate movie he's made, or at least that I've seen.
Yeah.
Even that does not feel like look at me.
It's not.
It doesn't. It just doesn't.
It's
Like
almost
it,
like, oh God, look at me.
it just yeah. It's like it's just yeah. It's just kind of it's just
No, like that,
presentation.
what, like
you know.
this is what I am.
So yeah, I know what you mean, Devin. Like, oh yeah, it's like, oh yeah, him making the alchemist and him like, oh look at me knowing everything. It's less about that, in my opinion.
Here's another thing of like, I feel like irony that I was seeing is like towards the end, there's kind of like, seemingly what I took from it is kind of like a criticism of kind of, I guess it's probably more specifically like false artists, I guess. Like there's the poetry guy who's like
Yes.
clearly like, oh, he's finding enlightenment in like art in the world, and like that's not
Exactly.
versus like when they reach enlightenment. I guess maybe this is spoilers to a degree if you're gonna post, but it's kind of like more like oh, reality and not that stuff. But this is all presented in like a fashion that is very much more relatable to the former that was criticized in it. You know what I
No,
mean?
it's
Than
true.
the, like,
But how I would argue against that. I mean, okay, it's like it's funny because the person who made this is making him look bad.
Artist?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is he's pointing out it's like there are artists that like they have definitely like reached what they believe some form of enlightenment, but it's this scene where he says the
but
bees.
He's like, I've reached to death.
Well, no, well he says the bees like will come to like feast on my poetry, and then he looks and it's flies.
Yeah.
What Jodorowsky is trying to make out there is like there are artists who are attempting to create something good, but instead they come to show themselves off. And I know you're saying like this film does that to a degree, and I disagree with you.
I would say it's just more general and broad than that. I would say it's almost like they're trying to find a way to almost replace religion when the only true religion is,
I was going to say, I didn't even equate that to an art conversation.
Yeah,
I took it more as like they're trying to get, well, this is after watching it the first time, like actually thinking about themes, but it's more like these are people who claim that they have it figured out or that they know what it is. And then, well, specifically religion or just like some sort of greater, the next step. Yeah. And then at the end of it, which I really think the ending is actually really sweet. Like it's really like sentimental and really.
Did you know about the fourth wall break, the ending?
No.
Okay, cool.
I knew. I kind of. Yeah, I knew nothing about anything.
Well, anyway, no, I took it more like when they get past, it's even like a thing. It's as simple as like look at these. They're tempting them.
Exactly.
No, that's what the point of that was.
It's as simple as like it's like even any biblical story. I haven't read the Bible. I haven't read the book more, but I take it as like there's stories like humble yourself. Go to the next step and kind of let go of your reservations and everything, and that's like they're like okay, this is bullshit. Obviously, this is not what we traveled here for. Yeah, and we gotta go. Yeah.
Okay. No. And going off of that, Carlos, what you just said, which I agree with you a lot upon. Thinking about those temptations, right? The guy with the flies. But he like represents, the idea of art, like a misinterpretation of art being the secret to life or something. Yeah. It also goes to the man with all the drugs, right? Saying like, the
real holy mountain is
exactly. The holy mountain is a trip, or like the book of the he said the book of the dead is a trip, and the tree of life and death is a mushroom. It's like saying like it's literally the Joe Rogan thing where it's like, oh, you take DMT, you'll unlock your fucking mind, The secret to enlightenment is through drugs. That's like another form of temptation. And then the guy who can go through solid matter. He's a representation of people focusing a little bit too much on the physical world and like almost thinking it kind of goes into a very common theme with this movie, which is materialism. Yeah. And it's just this idea that this man is like, oh, I conquered the holy mountain. I can go through it, but I can't actually ascend it. I can't climb it. It's this person who can recognize something, but the way that they treat it and the way that they go about life is kind of pointless. It's narrow, yeah.
They can't ascend.
It's like you can achieve something impressive, sure, but like in terms of the mountain, you're not going anywhere.
I looked at it as just people trying to look at the easy way out.
Exactly.
Because like
it's almost
actually climbing that would be the hardest thing ever, and I wouldn't want to fucking do that.
Exactly.
I look at it a little more literal than that, but it's like...
And also, let me say, everything that I have to say about, like, okay, like, my maybe a kind of an interpretation on a scene does not mean I think that's what it means. Yeah. This is just, any of this could mean anything. Some things are more obvious than others, and some things are just like, the guy with the tiger tit spraying milk into the guy.
Or simply, it could have been made just because it looks good. I don't
know. I think the whole point of that was just like, that's their last temptation before they reach enlightenment.
Yes. But what I'm saying is, it's like to define, what does that mean for that instant? It's bullshit. Like, there's no point in trying to be like, oh, I think this is it. Like,
I think the tiger represents the soul of the
it's just it would be stupid.
I would say like if people want to do that, I think it's interesting. And I love listening to it. I really do. But I just can't work at that level. Yeah. I don't want to either way. I don't want to try to decipher everything. What I can say is like, I don't know, just as a movie, it impresses me the second time around. It's so impressive.
I caught things I didn't see before.
It's incredible.
This is peak.
I will say, I remember this movie. I remember thinking about Holy Mountain. Like, okay, visually, once again, the set design, just the way it looks, is amazing. But I always thought like, Jodorowsky never really does much with the camera. And after really watching this, he does the Barry Lyndon thing, but also he actually does move the camera a lot.
I would say it moves a lot of zoom.
I don't know how I didn't. I guess I was just so entranced by other things that I didn't even realize. But he does a lot with the camera. It's like, does he do like crazy ass tricks, not
Favorite
necessarily, but it's just like his pan shots,
Yeah.
like the way he zooms, the way he moves it. It's excellent.
I think like every blemish, like what you said, Carlos, like the bad acting, the bad dubbing, the funny line delivery, just kind of adds to the whole world, and the
Yeah.
whole experience. You know what I mean?
It's
To
otherworldly.
the point where I just can't even have a valid criticism with it that I really feel is necessary to me.
And
You know
like
what I mean?
has a depth, like a deep
Yeah.
criticism.
I can see why other people would be bothered by it, but it's just such a thing to me where it's just like,
It never bothered
I
me.
have a
yeah,
question.
It's
can't
part of the
care.
movie's DNA.
Yes,
Yeah.
Devon has a question for Chris. Question.
Chris.
Because you even mentioned it in this, but like in the wake of just watching this, are you still kind of like art is the only like true religion, yada yada? Because I would say that not. And
I would say that it's not really a thing where I wouldn't say art is the only religion. I would say art is the closest that, you know, material life can get to that. You know what I mean? They were just kind of doing it in a more cynical way. You know what I mean? It was just saying pretty much that they were trying to sell you on these things that really at the end of the day can't touch what real religion is.
It's also the idea that, hey, like, it's not like one thing focusing on one aspect of life, even if it is like an incredible aspect of
Yeah.
life, focusing on only that deters you from the rest of life, and that's the problem. That's the thing about
even just focusing on like reaching enlightenment at the end of the
Exactly.
day, they find out that it can only be embraced through living in the material world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the ending that it's the last words he says, which is like goodbye to the holy mountain, real life awaits us. It, you know, because the fourth wall break isn't just this is meta, this is cool. It's also stripping away the film itself, in my opinion, and talking to the audience and saying,
I
hey,
will say it's pretty meta and cool.
it is pretty meta and cool, but
I enjoy that.
But it's not just that, in my opinion. I just think, like, dude, he's literally telling you, like, you just saw everything. Like, you know, this movie puts so many thoughts inside your head, makes you think about humans, just life in general, everything. But then it says, like, okay, you're living in this world. You need to even say goodbye to the movie itself. Go to real life. Real life awaits you. It's incredible. Like,
Also,
it's telling you to live.
Also, the choice to have one of the, I'm guessing it's, when they all cut their hair, it's kind of hard for me to recognize them anymore, but at the end when, it's the thief, right? That he sends them off with
Yes,
a glove.
yes.
It's actually really sweet.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, it's like, you go now with her and your monkey.
Yeah.
That's your family. You'll find your meaning and purpose through that. And it's like, wow. It's like really simple, but
powerful,
kind of sappy, but I love it.
But
I
but
think
even
it's,
that,
I
like
think
in the context of the story, it makes total sense because he was just a thief. You know what I mean? He was a
And
simpleton. He was
a
an
bum.
animal who lost his way.
You
But-
first see him covered with alcohol. He's pissing his pants. He's passed out with flies on his
It's
face.
like, but these people
actually are.
these people who have power in the world.
Yeah.
They're the ones who
That's
really
actually a
need
good
to
point.
know.
Yeah, no, that-
It's
yeah.
just there's so much to
Because
it.
the thief learned his lesson.
No.
Or he learned how to change.
And that's the thing, man. Is like, it's funny. You almost because you
It's
see all
nice
this, you almost forget that there's like.
Sweet ending.
You look on Letterboxd and like you look at like the genre for what this is under. I think it's just spiritualistic or something like that. Because that's the thing. There's
That's like
almost
genre.
like an adventure in
Honestly.
this, right? It's about an alchemist recruiting these like evil people from throughout the world, leading them to this trip to find enlightenment up on this giant mountain. That sounds like an adventure,
Yeah.
but I would not.
It was a Hobbit at the end.
But
Lord of the
literally,
Rings,
Fellowship of the Ring. This movie's everything, but at the same time, you know, you don't see it that way. You don't see it as like, oh,
At the
this
same
is.
time, it's nothing.
It's just I don't know.
But what is not?
I just
It
see
has what
this
it's
movie has everything to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just so much emotions. It's incredible.
I think I was thinking about it this way for too long and I got ingrained because now I'm like, yeah, is that even right? But the first guy, I really was for a long time thinking as like actual like, oh, this is Jesus.
Which you said, the second coming of Christ, like you said.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think
But
the
then
movie actually
you're
tells
like,
you to think
oh,
like
he's
that.
a thief. He's just a thief at the beginning. So it's like, was he
Mhm.
literally that? Because I was kind of taking him as literally that.
Well, no, because I can't believe it. Because literally in the beginning, they do the
Yeah.
mold. They mold him.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
so it's like,
there's a
supposed to
ton
be
of it.
Yeah.
And then he's like pissed, and I'm like, okay, this is like, oh, second coming of Jesus, and he would kind of be like
curious
his
to
set
see.
be over. Well, and commodification.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that was like the fat people that were
Of course.
Making
like
molds of them.
Yeah.
selling.
And
Selling
the
making
nun
molds.
that was clearly a man, like
Yeah.
just like disguising as this beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And even adding to that, a beautiful scene, which is just before they hit the water, like before they get on the boat to, go
Oh, the
across the
bread?
water to the holy
The
mountain.
bread.
The bread scene, yeah, it's when all those kids come up, and of course
Yeah.
the woman with the monkey, and like he tries to like replicate an act of Christ, and then the alchemist comes up, Jodorowsky, the alchemist comes up and is like, if you want to like try to do an act of Christ, this is what will happen, and you see them, it's like, oh, these people receive gifts, receive good things, food, and they kill themselves because of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Killing toddler as well.
it's beautiful. No, it's amazing because that like whole scene was just like 7 or 8 cuts.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Another thing about this movie, just viewing it as a movie for a sec, every time it cuts, half the time it cuts to something funny. Or just like random or
Yeah,
weird.
no,
But there's good time stuff too. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's not all. It is definitely some funny moments.
More, 'cause I was like, I'm the only one laughing here. This shit's hilarious. Man.
It is fun.
No.
Funny as shit.
I do find it funny. It really
So
is.
funny.
I mean, the first time we watched this,
First
we
time
were
I
laughing
watched
our
it,
ass
wow,
off.
it's
Yeah,
funny.
it's great.
Yeah, no, I think in this movie it manages to like teach you and kind of show so much, but without being preachy at all. I didn't think it's preachy at all.
No, I don't. I
No,
never felt it
that's
that way.
amazing.
Ever.
That's a feat.
Yeah.
I think because they decided to present a lot of it through humor.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
keep it
That's
humorous.
what I said. Like, it's such a perfect balance. Like, it
I
has
think
to be
for
sick.
me personally, that's why it's like, oh, this is.
When,
Yeah, no,
when he rips
100%.
off the gown at the end and he just goes, bah, like literally.
No, that was so stupid. and that. Oh, but also side note, you know about this, but I don't think there's this YouTuber called YMS, which I grew up just watching his channel, like growing up like a young boy till now, and he uses a lot of music from this in his videos, so I can't separate the two anymore. Every time I hear a song, it's like, oh, it's just like I think of a YMS
I just
video.
think about, it's like, wow, finally, I'm seeing the movie that's from.
It's
It's almost like, it's comforting, because it's like, damn, this warm feeling I felt as a kid.
We've always known it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I have a lower opinion of Jodorowsky than you guys.
What do you mean?
as far
That's
as
not to say
as
low,
as far as the
But
person,
definitely not.
Or as a
high, yeah.
filmmaker?
or a
As
filmmaker.
the film or as the person?
Oh, as an artist.
Oh,
As an artist, okay. As a
Yeah.
person.
Well, let me just say, I like Jodorowsky's movies, not Jodorowsky. I'm just gonna put it that way. I like his films. I kind of separate the art from the artist
Yeah.
because I do think he's like.
It's like you get married, no? You go with the wife. Why? The woman is wise. You take the woman. If you respect the woman, you will never have child. You need to open the costume and to rape the bride, and then you will have your picture.
I just think his movies are incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm
think-
saying, even in that respect.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
like it less
artistically.
than you guys.
I think
Like,
this one
it's
is
such
probably
a-
his best movie.
Yeah,
it is.
because,
It is.
Because I'm watching El Topo, I fell asleep, so I can't really rate it like that. But I mean, it was cool.
think
Was it Fando and Liz?
Yeah.
That was like alright. It
That
was
was good.
It was
That
good,
was his
but,
first
like,
ever feature film, and it is so far the weakest film I've seen by him, and I still
And
like it.
then Santa Sangre actually is great.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot of this in that DNA. But I wouldn't even include him in like I don't think about him constantly. I just think like this guy made a fantastic film. So creative, so I guess thematically rich, but
Yeah.
also so wacky, so fun. It's like the greatest combination of
Schlock?
yeah, I know schlock and actual things that make you
Wait,
think.
so I remember after Love Exposure, you're like, Chris, you don't like anything schlocky. But I would say this is like just as crazy as Love Exposure. I would say.
I guess.
And then-
No, yeah.
And then also both of y'all.
But it's like
both of y'all said.
I don't know. Look, Coach is still a little bit more wacky than that.
I would say both of y'all said that like you're surprised that this isn't on the Sight and Sound list.
Yeah.
This is way too irreverent and out there and wacky.
No,
Dude,
trust me.
all those people would not like.
I
this.
recognize this. Well, dude, I mean, it was hold on. It says it on the box itself. It says The Scandal, the 1973 Cannes Film
It's
Festival.
just like a lot of movies that premiere at Cannes. There's like the whole thing where like they get booed out of the building, they get people walk out all the time.
Well, yeah, but we're just talking about, it's like, okay, but do those movies that you mentioned, are they also all over the sound list?
they're
No,
not.
they're not. That's the point we're making. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, this movies that are like cast out usually don't end up on lists.
They don't.
I mean, shit, this is not appearing on anything. It's not on IMDb. It's not on
Letterboxd.
Letterboxd. I'm talking about the top list.
It's at a 4.2 now though, so
It's
it,
a very-
it'll
It
be-
could,
it'll
it
be
could.
any day.
Very acquired taste. I would completely understand if someone thinks this is just
Sure.
absurd, stupid nonsense, but I think it's brilliant.
In every aspect.
Masterful. Incredible.
Yeah. Devin?
My thought on Jodorowsky, like why I was saying it, was like, I don't know. I'm happy in general that like something like this has been made,
It's
and that
pretty crazy
an
that it
artist can like was with a crazy vision was just given the opportunity to like
Yeah.
anything.
Go
you
all
think of.
out. Go all
But with that
out.
being said, like there are moments in it that makes me a little bit. Basically, the person who's going to be able to get that done and be confident enough to be like, yeah, my vision is worth it, and like have that, like, I don't think I like that person in real life. Like you know what I mean? And I get that a little bit even in watching it.
No.
Of like, yeah, this person is, but that's not like it's still small. I'm not saying that's my
Like it
general-
really-
But
it's like
you're
it
still
really-
really
genuinely
feeling
like,
it,
oh, that's cool. It's just like that's also an aspect.
That's how I feel
Sure.
about El Topo, because El Topo's the one with the alleged like rape and stuff
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
that shit-
And
that shit
I
feel-
think
that's
honestly,
terrible.
if that never had happened, like if there was none of that, that movie would probably even be a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I have it at a really strong 4. I think it's an incredible movie, but I can't help. You kind of can't help but think it, even when the scene comes up. It's just like you kind of can't help but think it. Does it ruin the movie? Hell no. But the point is like that is in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And yeah, like there's some things you could find questionable. It's just like
Oh, and this, it's
The
like I think about the
drugs.
animals. It's like
yeah,
those
the
animals probably,
or like the
a lot of them are
children,
just fucking-
like scenes with children.
yeah,
There's
the
like a
children
lot of,
being naked and all
yeah,
that.
but
you know?
it's-
Yeah.
and like
I actually don't think that's because the children. It's not like they were naked and sexualized.
Exactly.
It's very much
That-
just kind of like
yeah.
Just pure.
The
Yeah.
only time it was the old man taking his eye out and holding a little girl's hand. And it's like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
But it's like even now, I don't know. I don't know what
you
that
could
scene
take
means.
that
I
for
don't
all
know.
kinds of different
no,
things.
I know what he was getting at, but the thing is, it's like, it's not like he kissed her.
No,
face,
I know.
You know,
I know,
it wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
What was he
no.
getting at though? Like legitimately though. I don't.
Well, those were like the
Whores.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
The
the
whores,
whores of
and
the
then they're
town.
looking up at Jesus. It's such like a hypocrisy.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
there's just like all this old.
Yeah, they
creepy
walk
guys.
around. They like the
Yeah.
shots where they focus on their chest and they have like crosses on their necklace,
Yeah.
but it's literally shirts where you can see their
Yeah.
boobs. Like it's a
The
like-
first
yeah.
juxtaposition. The
Yeah,
first like 40 minutes of this movie is just showing.
They had cross necklaces.
It's showing
See?
like how
I didn't
the
notice
world
either.
is just so lost.
Exactly.
It's just
It's-
beautiful.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
it's
it was
incredible.
definitely we live in a society.
Yeah.
Joker was in this for a
But the
frame.
thing was, it doesn't even
Joker was.
it doesn't preach to you. It just like is. It's just like
Yeah.
there's no sort of
I mean,
found,
by
no.
preach to you, do you mean it doesn't use words to do it? Because I would say it does visually preach to you. It's very much like, yeah, I don't know.
Or do you mean like
I
it's
guess
picture,
it's
like,
really
an
pretty
annoying
No,
way?
yeah. There are
it's-
definitely
it's not-
times, and
it's
I
not
actually.
like, how do you call it? Like exposition wise.
Yeah.
It's not
Yes.
like this is the point.
That's where
You
I
know what I
think,
mean?
and also it's not a thing where it doesn't feel like he's really shoving it down your throat, because like Chris says, he's showing you. It's
Yeah.
not like this
Subtle touch?
is it. Yeah,
Goes
that-
back.
like
yeah.
it's
it's
fine.
true.
It
He's
does-
fine with a degree of interpretation by the audience.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely. This movie is interpretation.
And
like
it
that. What the hell
encourages
does that
that.
mean? What does that mean? Like it's just Yeah.
Well,
so,
I know what all that means.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But
I get the monkey.
But the point is, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, there's even a scene, like the scene where they're talking like to that guy with the sombrero, and like they see through the dog's eyes, and they're like, we must become the dog to
Yeah.
find the flower, become the flower to find the water,
The water.
and like all this stuff. Like, yeah, it's like sometimes it feels very like culty or something,
Yeah.
which is funny because
Oh,
there's a documentary that Jodorowsky made about like it's like this weird like form of like religion almost that's like it mixed with alchemy that feels culty, and there's like, dude, that's the thing, this movie is littered with stuff from all kinds of different religions and alchemy. There's like the lady in this rainbow room right here, who's like tatted out. You know, she's naked. She has the silver head.
Hebrew.
It's like Hebrew and like all these like symbols and stuff like that. You know, it's just this movie is filled to the brim with shit that could just go over your head. You know, it's all over the place.
I thought the same thing actually around the same. It wasn't when the dog went, but same thing about like, okay, yeah, this guy just started a cult, and it's also literally Jodorowsky, and like honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to start a literal cult.
He did when he was casting these people. He did like do a lot of meditation and interesting stuff with them before they started filming. So yeah, probably. But I kind of don't give a shit because I don't give a shit.
I don't see with this. I mean, obviously, just in general, every single 100% of the time, pretty much, I just don't care unless he's like preaching like a message that I think is like stupid in the movie.
Yeah.
But then it's just the movie at that point, you know what I mean?
And that's the thing. Even if he is preachy, at least he's preaching shit that like anybody
it's
can like
universal.
Like it's a universal thing.
It's a universal truth.
It's let yourself go. So I'm not sure. So do you remember the very beginning of the movie? The very beginning where it's like before we even get the Holy Mountain title shot, before we see the thief, like the Jesus thief, it is Jodorowsky. He like it's those two women. That shot. It went away. It's those two women. He removes their makeup. He takes off their shiny nails, their jewelry, and cuts their hair. That scene, the beginning scene of the movie, is a summarization of the entire movie itself, which is let yourself go of the materialistic world and find spirituality, find life yourself. Like separate yourself from stuff that could distract you and ruin you. And that is something that anyone in the world can take from. You know?
Do you think Jodorowsky has done that in his life?
I don't know. I probably not. Who knows? But
that's the kind of thing where I'm watching this movie. I'm like, the person who made this movie did not.
So it's hypocritical. I mean that's human nature.
You can still interpret it as like, hey, this is like what he believes in and what he wants to do, even if way. You know what I mean? It's still his ideal destruction.
And if the movie was exactly the same, but like for some reason any other human in the universe ever made it, the same thing would apply.
But
where it's like, they don't follow that.
Do you think it would be more like it would be impossible? But I don't know. There's a book, and the author said that he initially wanted to just release it. It was his account of the Holocaust, and he initially was just gonna be unknown and release it, but then he decided, because he felt like, oh, that's more kind of like he doesn't want to profit off of that, but then he thought, oh, this is more important for people to put like an actual person to the experience of like anyway,
because humans were
this
more.
I feel like if he didn't put his name on it at all and people didn't even know he made it, like in a world where that's even possible with like how many people it takes to make a movie, that would be a lot more powerful, because there wouldn't be the degree of like ego and kind of like wanting to look at me and stuff.
So do you find
people
this
could just take like
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So, yeah, no, I totally do. So do you find the movie pretentious, or is it just Jodorowsky leaking through into it?
Not as a whole. Again, that's like just aspects of it. Like I just have that
you get that
aspect of it on
I get it.
Jodorowsky.
No,
but
and like I said, I don't think he's a good guy. I just think I think he
he's
makes
cute.
good films. The best films. The best film ever made.
Also, but the hypocrisy that maybe slips in is, I think, pretty interesting to even think about, because, you know, thinking about certain scenes where it's like they burn all your money, it's like, you couldn't make this shit without money. No, I'm not even joking. Like, I thought about it in those aspects.
In an ideal world,
yeah, kind of like even like privilege, you know?
Yeah, no, I thought about it like that, and
like
it's
like
like
good
when-
for you to be able to seek enlightenment
it's-
and not just worry about literal day to day.
it's like when
be able
John
to
Lennon
romanticize
said,
living life.
"Imagine no possessions" or whatever.
I almost have a feeling like Santa Sangre may go up for me. You know what I mean? Like I still have faith.
I think that's
I still have faith in like the dance of reality and endless poetry, even though it's way more in the future, and I'm hoping it's not just him trying to rekindle the past. But like I think if I like his two newest films, I'll consider him the GOAT. I'll consider him the GOAT because his filmography is so short, and if his
didn't make Boogie Nights.
His filmography is really short, and hey, Tusk and Rainbow Thief are definitely questionable films.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's just like
This is
No, Chris, kind of to what your point earlier when you were saying, like, every time it cuts, it's like something
unexpected.
unexpected funny. It's so interesting every time.
Yeah,
It's like
it
you
really
can't
is.
wait to see what's next. I've seen it already, and there are things that this movie's packed with so much shit. There's things I blatantly forgot about. When it cut to I'm not good with names, but the guy and he's like running around the house and all the little kids in mice costumes.
Yes,
That
yes.
was-
I forgot that was even in the
Me
fucking
too,
movie.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I told you guys. I said this movie is so incredible.
It's dense.
It's so dense that by the end of it, you forget some of the amazing shit that
No,
you
it
saw.
really feels like it's longer than 2 hours.
It
really
does,
does.
and I love that.
Not in a bad way. It
No.
just feels like it's like
so crazy.
It's so much happens in just. I mean, what? It's like 100 and like I think 13 minutes or something. It's just like
oh no,
it's
closer
10
to
minutes.
2 hours.
It's 10 minutes shy of 2 hours. 115 minutes. So that's 5 minutes shy. 5 minutes shy. Yeah, no. It's like, dude, how? Just how? You know?
Well, Jodorowsky, how?
Jodorowsky, how? I'm probably gonna say a lot more, but I will just say this is still the best movie I've ever seen. My favorite, 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
It's
It went down for me. It's like
This
a
is
9.
the one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh really? I was about to say like
No,
wow.
I don't know. I
No.
love this thing.
I
but-
think without a doubt,
What?
I think it's gonna take something really
Years.
special and years and years for something to beat this.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna need to like watch so many movies. I'm gonna need to change as a person for this to, and I don't think it's even gonna go down like in like a rating. It's just gonna go down maybe just because I changed. Like I think this will
Yeah.
forever be a 10. I don't think this will like this is the movie.
This is it.
Say goodbye to the Holy Mountain. Real life awaits us.
Honestly. Good God.
This is the movie.
I think that's good that you like acknowledge that it's like the type of person you are, though. That like makes it genuinely. I'm saying,
yeah,
and I'm not saying that as like a con, but it's like,
Yeah.
this isn't for
Not for
everybody.
No,
you know what I
No,
mean?
dude,
but
Like,
that's
you know,
all
like kind
movies,
of like
though.
like
That's all
you
art.
saying everything in it is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that kind of I think is in there just for like a degree of like shock and weirdness and stuff. And
No,
like,
yeah.
no one, but you can appreciate like
Yeah.
you being the person you are. Like that's what you appreciate.
Dude, there was-
You want
the sex
the-
machine.
You just want it all.
So crazy. Like, how did they even do that?
Let me tell you, before, so I was working before this, and a kid that I worked with, he was like, I said, oh, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, oh, I'm seeing my favorite movie of all time, and I was telling him about it, and I was like, but I don't recommend it. I told him,
really?
I said, don't watch it. Well, for one thing, just because I could tell that he wouldn't, I could just, I don't know. I don't think he'd get
He
it.
was like, my parents still don't let me watch rated R movies.
Well, probably he's 18, but no, I'm kidding. But the funny thing
Joking.
is like, he asked me like, oh, who's in it, and I'm like, no one you know or I know.
already.
Jodorowsky. And then
Yeah,
he
I
goes,
could've said
oh,
Jodorowsky.
he goes, Otopo?
Oh, Topo, yeah. No, but that's no, I get it. Like no, this movie it clicked with me off the bat. It's funny because when I first watched this, All at Once was still my favorite movie of all time, and I remember
That
Chris,
dropped drastically.
I stood up.
I was right.
It's mid for me now, by the way.
That dropped drastically.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it fell off for me. But no, I remember.
Bro, Carlos
Okay,
still
but
still
try
good,
to
though.
like take it apart from everything
Still good.
and just think about the sentence that you said that it's mid. You still
That
taking away like this and comparing to
Oh, no,
other
I'm not
stuff and
comparing
what
it to
you've
other
seen,
stuff.
like that movie. Mid.
it just
That's your thoughts.
it doesn't
I
it
think
doesn't
it's
work.
bad.
It doesn't work for me anymore.
Hmm?
I watched it.
bad.
Yeah,
I
think
watched
it's
it
bad.
I don't think
and
that's
I
fucking egregious
like
take.
it lost the magic. It wasn't there anymore. I just watched stuff that I think is better. I truly did.
Just grew.
And like my taste changed. And once again, it's the person thing. That's the point I'm making. I stood up and I said, I think this is the best movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then I had it just behind All at Once. I put it in front. I watched it again not too long after with Cooper, actually. This after with Cooper. And then it took several months until I rewatched All at Once with Carlos. And I was like, this is not the kind of stuff I like anymore.
He says that like it didn't hit him that bad, but periodically I would look over at him and I could just see like the soul leave a man's body. that he didn't like to
just
sing
the magic
anymore.
was gone. It just
I
wasn't
looked
there
at him and he
anymore.
was like, "That looks sad." I was over here
I think
eating the popcorn,
you're
just
probably
laughing.
just in a phase of your life where you like the just really kind of like what's it called? Like I don't know,
Complex.
like vague,
Or
like
maybe Everything
impressionistic
Everywhere All at Once
art
is
type
not
of
good.
thing.
Dude,
like,
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I'm ever gonna just go back to liking that film again. I don't think I'm gonna change in that way. I think some movies. There are some movies that I have at like an 8 out of 10. Like that, I think will literally go up with time. For all I know, Ikaru could eventually be my favorite movie of all time. Could very well eventually be.
I think
But
Yeah.
Okay, some things that I would say Everything Everywhere All at Once is better than this.
Uh-huh.
Like, or at least you can appreciate as much as this, if not more. Like, this takes the cake in as far as just, like, artistic, insane creativity. And I feel weird saying that because I also think Everything Everywhere All at Once does that well, too. But, like, filmmaking, like, craft, like, Everything Everywhere All at Once is really impressive. And as much as, like, you can interpret and take what you want from that, Everything Ever at Once is much more digestible, like, specific, like, tips for life that's just practical for people to actually take away and do something with. Whereas this is kind of, like, vague, like, if you imbue it with it, and with the interpretations, like, you can take a lot from this and, like, let it be what you need it to be, and I can appreciate that. But I can also appreciate Everything Ever Once is,
Well,
like,
I think part of the
I think
this is
everything
great,
said is
and
right.
that's like
I would agree
powerful
with that.
in its
I
own
think
way.
part of the magic is just like kind of it, like you said, like it's vague, but I think that it just like just engages the viewer to kind of be reflective, you know what I mean?
like
and apply your life to it.
It depends
You know
on
what I
your
mean?
interpretations,
So
and I think I like that
I
itself,
tend
but I
to-
also like the
yeah.
other thing too.
I tend to like stuff that's more just like you know, like you just kind of
Like,
imbue
that's
with
what I'm
your
saying,
own-
it's different things, and I think you're just appreciating this more in your
Do you think?
time of life.
Do you think?
And
Do you think
upbringing.
when I become your age, I'm gonna love everything everywhere?
No, I don't think you would necessarily ever will.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it seems like you're really hot for this just right now. You know
it's
what I
gonna
mean?
be
Or
that way
like
for a long
that's
time.
way That's
Yeah.
like the way your path of
No,
like
yeah.
consuming media. I
Yeah,
guess,
and
is
I know what you
Sure.
mean, because okay, a good example.
I'm not
Chris,
saying that's a bad thing.
No, I get it. No, I don't take it that way whatsoever. I totally understand.
Well,
what
I
you're saying.
do.
And I'm Carlos beat him up for me. No,
Yeah, me would totally.
I'm gonna actually like add to that to put truth to that as well.
But truthfully,
There's a movie called there's a movie called An Autumn Afternoon by Yazruz. I don't know how to pronounce his first name. Yeah, and that movie is has a lot to do with like aging and kind of like disconnecting from like your life, you know, as you grew up as an adult, and like losing kind of like even your family almost. It's like it's kind of tragic.
Losing your
but-
own will.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it's tragic, but it's also very sweet in a weird way. That kind of movie, I feel like if I watch that movie again when I'm like 60, 70, I will cry and I will love that movie to death, like way more than I do now, because I think that movie's fucking great right now. Like I really do think it's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen, but it's just, you know, but I do think it could go up over time.
Yeah.
I just don't see something like this ever just plummeting like the way All at Once did. I just don't ever see it happen.
Here's another thing. Like, I feel like we can put this on a lofty pedestal because it is, like, awe-inspiring. And that's a lot of, like, at times kind of, like, bizarre. And, like, as far as emotions I experienced was kind of, like, kind of awe to a degree of, like, oh, man, this is, like, insane.
I see where you're going with
and
this.
I like that.
Yeah.
But another thing about something like Everything All at Once, like, more specific, real emotions were experienced that are kind of more grounded and
No, I
stuff
get
that
it.
was almost like a representation of the themes that this is generally trying to push, you know?
No, I get it. Yeah.
Anyway, just another thing of like, I'm just kind of just comparing.
Yeah, well, with Everything Ever All at Once,
Stuff.
there are moments where it's like, oh, these characters, like, okay, like this movie isn't about the characters, it's about what they
No.
represent and stuff like that, and like it's kind of like also trying to like, you know, once again push what this movie is trying to say, whatever it's trying to say exactly.
Yeah.
And I understand All at Once, you know, it's more personal, it's a bit more intimate. It's supposed
Grounded
to be
in reality.
Grounded
grounded in reality.
and relatable.
Yeah, I get that.
Relatable.
And when I first watched the movie, like the first 3 times I ever saw it, I felt those emotions. It was real, it was raw. But I feel like with me,
Relatable and debate.
now if it's like, if a movie wants to like me to feel real, powerful emotions without being manipulative, it has to have like this kind of atmosphere to it, this kind of presentation, good writing, like all kinds of good aspects of both storytelling and filmmaking in order for me to really feel the emotions and care, you know? And as I watched more and more films, I saw like what you could do like with the art form, and I like certain styles made me feel something more than any before, you know? It's like Dancer in the Dark, the movie that we mentioned before, Like, that's one of the few movies in the past couple of years that has made me cry. Like, that movie is so incredible, you know? And so the point I'm making is, when I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, I know, like, you know, you respect the craft of that, and, like, I can definitely respect some aspects of it, too. Like I said, I'm just mid on it. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it just doesn't hit anymore. But the point, I know. But the point is, it's literally my opinion, dude. What are you talking about?
Well, no, when you said bad movie, he just slowly turned to me.
The point I'm making is just like, the craft doesn't make me feel the emotions it did before, and sometimes I kind of find it almost manipulative at times, and I don't want a movie to manipulate me. I don't want to do that.
See, okay, I can get that, but I also think that I don't know, I would be like, all movies are manipulative. Even if it feels less, they're just better at manipulating you to a degree. You know?
I mean, that's
like,
subjective.
they're kind of pushing their own thing.
That's a subjective aspect of the film, though. You know, it's like people will watch. You know, I don't know, something
that was trying to manipulate you to have a feeling of like living life.
No, I know, and
you know what I mean? Like, it's all.
No, I get that. It can totally be seen as that, but like, I don't see it as that. I see it as
because
more,
it's not stated like, oh, this simply in facts.
Exactly.
You feel like it's
it's better because it's nuanced.
It's very, very nuanced, but also it's a thing where it's like, oh, I just don't see it as, this movie is teaching me how I will live my life from now on. I just see it as, this movie is a spectacle showing ideas and truths and just incredible ways of living life. But it's not like, okay, now that I've seen this, I must quit my job. I must climb the holy mountain. You know, even with a movie like Ikaru, which is a movie about finding the meaning of life, it's like, it's not like after I saw that movie, it's like, okay, this is how I must live now, you know? So I understand what you're saying, how this could be manipulative.
Yeah, I think I've gone through times too when I am looking for much more kind of like romantic, like enigmatic kind of things of like, just like thinking about life and general and stuff. But also maybe there is a degree of like, and I'm not saying that I'm fully on the other side, basically, I think, honestly, at this point in my life, too, there is a degree of, like, no, honestly, I do want specifics. Yeah. You know, I like, it's too hard to figure out life. Like, give me specifics, maybe I'll, like, take that, maybe I won't.
No,
but,
I get that.
Anyway, and I'm also, in comparing this and the other, I'm not saying, I think I'm giving props to this in the same way as I'm just saying, like, it's just
different movies.
Yeah, it's different approaches, different things.
Completely,
I think
literally,
there are definitely things to appreciate. About.
I think it's a very good movie. I still have a good time with that movie. Everything Everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, all at once. Yeah. Carlos, what do you give this? What do you still have this out of 10? Holy Mountain.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Wait, and trying to be even in trying to be like objective. Like, not impact of you, emotion of mind-blowing, just thinking about it as a movie and trying to be objective.
All
at Once is mid?
Yes. I think, because there are some, like the editing, of All at Once.
Yeah.
Maybe...
It's a feat that movie even works.
Okay,
I think the editing-wise, it's really impressive.
I could say this. Maybe objectively, I do like it in that sense. But it's just the other side of things that bring it back down to like a mid-level for me, which is just my feelings, my emotions and stuff like that. Objectively, editing, super impressive, right? It's just like, I do think like the costumes and like a lot of aspects of the film, the filmmaking, you know, itself, the craft. Yes, I can see that and I can respect it and I do like it, but I don't like, I don't know. I feel like it just doesn't.
But I'm not saying like you're going back to the subjective of like I like it and stuff. Like I'm
so,
trying to be like just objective like craft stuff.
Then
because even on that level, then we could start being like like this story wise narrative. Like I feel like this is much more subjectively good on that sense than objectively.
Okay. Well, I
you know what I mean?
The way that's the thing, man. I don't view films that way.
Yeah.
I don't view like. I can definitely see, once again, I can look at the craft of a film.
But I think it's just important to recognize that when you're saying it, or like whether or not you're saying Everything Everywhere Once is all at once is mid, like it's worth kind of like knowing for yourself or for anyone else. Like, are you saying that subjectively or objectively? And if
I'm
it's
always-
both, then that's
I
fine.
think film is always
I'm
subjective.
always
Yeah.
subjective when I say, because here's the
I
thing.
think it always is, but you can also talk about it in objective.
Sure, but
measurable ways.
also
Yes.
I think what movies I've always said this
It's all opinions.
well no that too but no I think it's whatever the movie is going for is how I kind of view it, and maybe that's like kind of basically like there are movies that are narrative and they're going for narrative, classic 3-act structures, classic setup payoffs, and if that's what a movie's trying to be, I'll judge it on that criteria and be yeah, it's really fucking good and I love it. There are movies that I love that are like that, but this I don't see any reason in judging it like that. Under that,
Rules, guidebook.
yeah, I mean, Chris, you've hated rules either way. You always hate saying that there's like rules in filmmaking, but
Yeah.
there is in certain types of stories.
Yeah.
I
Where
would
it
say.
makes sense.
But it's
Yeah.
just-
But for me, that's why
Well, a
it's
lot
like
of like objective, just measurable stuff you can say is great about this. Like everyone kept mentioning, like
The
production
sets,
design.
yeah.
production design. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
no.
know,
If we're stripping it
I
based
guess-
on like actual aspects of filmmaking, sure, because everything everywhere all at once is like I think editing crazy.
Yeah, and that
I
is a great
think,
part of the movie.
Creativity wise, like what some of the shit, the scenarios they come up with is so fun, entertaining, and really creative. Like the whole sequence in the middle where like they're going through different dimensions, like them being drawn, them being in jail cells, them being
still love
pinatas, them being in
Do you
rocks.
still love this?
Oh,
Just making sure.
Yeah, everything. No, that movie, I still think it's very good. There's a really good heart to it. It's a very, very good movie.
Mm-hmm. Big heart.
Yeah, big heart.
Yeah, no.
For me,
Yeah,
I love a
well,
lot too. Actually,
it's great. 'Cause
Big
I don't know.
heart,
I think
family
there's
eyes.
so much to appreciate about this, but the more I'm even talking about it, the more I'm like, okay, for a movie that's so like trying to be grounded in reality, like it just as an art piece represents not that at all. You know
This?
what I mean? Yeah.
Well, it's grounded in reality at the very end. That's the
Yeah.
point. Is that it's creating a world that is so
So
inviting, so
insane.
enthralling,
I
and
would
at the
never
very
call
end,
this grounded in
pushing it
reality.
aside,
Yeah,
ripping
Wait,
it
no,
apart,
now I'm
and then
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, now it's more." And even then, it's not in reality because it's meta
Well,
as
no,
shit.
no,
It's a movie in a
no,
movie.
this?
Yeah,
I would
it's
not call us grounded in reality at all.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
But
But
the point is,
it's pushing for like people to live a life
well, it
grounded
presents-
in reality.
Truths in life, but I mean, like.
yeah. But now you're just talking about the ideas of a film, you know. But it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know. It's like.
Well, like,
The film itself isn't grounded in reality, but the idea it presents,
the ideas
yeah,
are truths
yeah.
about life. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Again,
That's
and
why-
no, that is good. Okay,
Yeah.
I
It
can
doesn't
see
matter
that.
what the presentation is, as long as, there's, like, I don't see the I don't understand.
I'm
the
kind of
criticism.
confused
Yeah.
by that, yeah, because the way I see it is like, okay, a film cannot only be good because of its ideas or its messages. It is about execution for
Yeah.
me.
Well, yeah,
100%.
definitely.
And the execution of this does not feel grounded in reality. And even like the message, like even though like I said, in the end, it strips away of it all and it is directly speaking to you, just like, hey, live your life.
Yeah.
It does talk about a lot more, you know. It's like it does, like, think about all like the industrialism and stuff like that. It's like these thieves, thieves on a higher level,
Yeah.
doing these horrible things to humanity and stuff like that. It's like reflective on people and just like who we
Yes.
are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
But the way it's shown, it's like it's otherworldly.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's-
But I guess I'm really just kind of pointing out in that last takeaway of what, like, if you're going to encompass it, is kind of like how to reach enlightenment or like live a good life, and that's kind of largely of like not seeking it necessarily in all these things, but being grounded in like not even the physical, like it is bizarreness, but anyway, like that ending again, it's just kind of like feels ironic the way that is like presented to you
I
as
mean,
a whole.
I
The
guess.
movie, like it feels.
I guess,
guess
you can see that, but for me,
yeah.
it's just like the movie's so good, I just don't care. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's such a thing where it's like I would say that I would like do the contrary, where like I would say the contrary, where it's like he did have this like amazing world that people want to see and that people want to get into, and that's so extravagant, that's never been done before, and then he teaches you the lessons, you know what I mean? And then he like shows you kind of what he wants you to know, you know what I mean? Like that's his way of inviting you almost, you know what I mean? So I guess it's
Yeah, I feel like it's, I don't know, we're getting kind of deep in the weeds where it feels like, I don't know if
on the
either
same
side of
page.
this are like understanding each other.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But so on that note, I did want to go back a little bit to say early, like before I really started getting into films, and I'm talking watching like a lot with these guys and stuff like that. I would try to view films very objectively. Like I would try to think of every aspect of a film. I would think about, is the editing good? Is the acting good? Is this good? Is this good? The storytelling, if there is bad dubbing, like that's a problem and that's a flaw and that will demote the movie a little bit.
It's like
I don't
when
give a fuck anymore.
It's like in Stone Samurai when it's like I was like the bald cap. I was like Chris the bald cap. You said it was perfect, but I can see the bald caps.
And it's like, dude, it's just I don't know. I kind of
Yeah, those are yours.
to me, film is an art form, and art should not be, kind of as Chris says, should not be as tightly subjected to rules all the time.
Yeah.
Not all the time. I just don't see it.
I still hold it like whatever. You know, like I said earlier.
Yes.
Like whatever.
Yes, it
Whatever's being
depends.
made.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes
like-
if there's a creature feature B movie,
fuck
shit
yeah.
like that,
Fuck yeah,
it's
bro.
it's
Shit on
different. It's different. Even though that's not my thing, and I don't like those kind of
Who,
movies.
the
'cause
host?
This is the kind of shit that I
So
like.
good. The
I
host's
understand. I understand.
You're good.
It's just, it's all subjective to me now. It really, truly is.
great.
You know?
But I will say though, okay, earlier you made a point about like, okay, I'm gonna paraphrase it probably badly, or I don't know. You were saying like, you were talking about Troy like liking this because of where he's at now in life, or like what he's exposing.
Not necessarily like you specifically right now. It's like, like that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying like, oh, you're gonna be different and you were. It's just like, you how you are right now is.
Well, no, I would say that no. For me, it's like
appreciating
I think
those
there's
aspects more.
truth to that because like every like growing film fan goes through a phase of like here's the stuff that's supposed to be really good that's popular. Okay, now let me delve into the more abstract.
Yeah.
This shit is way better than the other shit.
Exactly.
I can't believe I've
Yeah.
never seen this. But
Yeah.
I'm not even saying that as a positive or negative. I'm just saying that's how it goes.
No, that is true.
And then I think they end up balancing out in their later years, or just really,
being able to appreciate
or just
everything.
really liking what they like. And I think that's
Yeah,
at the end
yeah,
of it.
yeah.
It's
Exactly.
just, it's just
And I
watching
think-
everything and finding what you truly like.
Because for me,
and
it's like if I were to actually make a feature, I would want to incorporate I would really want to make a good narrative movie, and I would be happy with that.
Well, that's the
Because
thing.
I would just love doing a simple story. For me, the filmmaking doesn't have to be abstract or grandiose or crazy. For me, it's like let's set a camera up in a corner and just try to experiment, or just even do normal, regular, boring shit.
No, yeah.
And I would just like, I don't know, I'd be happy with that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's-
So not for me, not everything has to be like, okay, why isn't this elelevator? Why isn't these camera movements? Why
No,
isn't this
yeah.
writing?
But for me, I'm just the opposite. Like,
No, yeah, exactly.
I will only
Yeah.
watch art house films for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Again, he's found what he likes. For me,
yeah,
it's like,
that's
Exactly.
just really
I like
what
both.
Like,
Me,
go for it.
I'm open to watching a ton of stuff because regarding this, the iceberg, there's like still stuff like up here I still enjoy. There's not as much Godfather I still think is amazing. Like one of the best movies
Godfather.
ever made, 10 out of 10. But like the point is like there's just as the more I go down here and I look at stuff like this, and this list is not to show, this stuff is better, this stuff is worse. It's just the balance of art house and popular. It's that kind of stuff. It's not what is better. Because there's shit down here that sucks. The point is that the more I go down here and I realize like what film is capable of, and I find, just styles that I like Jodorowsky, like Fellini, like
Krasinski.
Quiet
Place One is
just
so good.
all kinds of stuff like that. That's when it's just like, then I look at this stuff and it's like it almost comes off as bland to me. And I know I just said like this is not a level thing. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, but see, I think that's where we're getting at. Like, that it comes off as bland as you because of what you're exploring, what you
It's
like.
bland because this is all the like art house exploration, like pushing the boundaries of stuff, and like that can be appreciated. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But that's bland because it does follow a lot of more things that
Yeah,
kind of like
structure,
are
narrative.
like
It's
more
more-
basic, but it's
Yeah.
basic because it works and it can
Yeah.
be very
Yeah.
effective.
Yeah, no,
and
well,
it
but-
can,
but
like,
even-
conventions are there because they work.
Well, here's the thing. Going so far to like down in like level 5 and like even a level 6 that we might create at one point,
Whoa.
like that can be problematic. It really can be. Because then if it doesn't work for you at all, like if the movie doesn't click with you, it sucks. It could
It's kinda there,
could
yeah.
it could just be there, it could suck. The thing that's bad about going too high up this way is that it gets super corporate. It gets super
It's like a
it
product.
doesn't it doesn't feel like, oh, this is a piece of
art that someone made. It feels like this is someone who's tried to make money. That's why I put like The Lion King 2019 up there, because that felt
that's not a movie.
that feels like such a prey on people's emotions
That's
and like
not a
trying to
movie.
bring them to a theater. It's so like half-assed done, and it feels cheap, and
cannot
and it's
believe
literally just for money.
That Barry Jenkins
That
made a sequel to
is
that
shit to me. That is
Yeah.
that is bad cinema to me. You know what I mean? And bad cinema can also be too far gone art house bullshit that I just don't like. I'm like, how am I supposed to enjoy this? Just-
Disagree.
yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, no, there's shit that you know. There's shit down there that you don't like.
Yeah,
There
there's
is.
stuff that I don't like a lot of it. Like.
Yeah. So yeah.
But at the end of the day, that just
Wow,
proves
this one's
that,
an hour long.
it just proves that everything is really just subjective.
I would say,
Yeah.
kind of the whole point we were talking about, to bring it back to Everything Everywhere All at Once, just to finish it off.
Yes.
That movie, I think, is it's such a good, fun, entertaining piece of art that lives in a modern
Yeah.
studio system.
Yeah, and
But
to,
I
like,
think that's
I feel
like,
like
I think
to
that's a
call
combination.
that like that also. Yeah, I don't know. Where would you put Everything Everywhere at Once here?
Either 2, arguably 1, but like low 1.
That's what I would say is like, no way you can put it in.
well,
one.
where would you put it?
Why?
Well, this is
I
forget,
think-
this is based on what
I
again?
just would
Based
like
on just
very much disagree with it being in
Wait.
one. I would be fine with it in 2 or 3 personally.
Yeah. I think
But it wasn't
2 or
like
3.
it wasn't such a film that it didn't like. I don't know about this, but did it premiere at Cannes? Or
well, that
anything
doesn't
like
really mean anything.
No.
It wasn't. I'm just saying, as far as like,
Well, like it's more of a commercial
conventional
movie.
stuff, like
yeah.
even you
But a lot
guys
of commercial
thinking
movies
about
do
Well,
stuff
hold
that
on.
goes through
Really?
theaters.
Hold on, hold
Was
on.
Everything All at Once
Really?
truly
Yeah.
conventional?
Yes. No,
Turning red?
and I don't think it is, but I'll tell you this.
Okay, never mind.
This list is not just
It's about
based
basketball,
upon
so I have no idea.
art house
Yeah.
film versus more conventional film. It's
No,
also
yeah.
about popularity.
I think I was just trying to make that point about
No, I get
Everything
it.
Everywhere Once, and I was using that to do it.
No, I get
But
it.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
fair. So, well, then, should I not continue?
No,
Well,
you can-
I'm making the point that this is both the balance between like art house cinema and basic story structure, like super simple, like straightforward narrative stuff like that, right? And also its popularity. It's just how well like most people
Okay,
don't
it's
know about
measurable.
these films. They don't. Everyone like has heard of Star Wars. Everyone's heard of Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, Avengers, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And also it's a balance of how easy it is to get into those films. That's why to that kid that's at my work, I don't even know, like, you know, people at my work, you know, like, there's a guy that I know loves, like, all the James Bond movies and stuff like that, you know, and, like, all those kind of, like, action movies. I would not recommend this to him, just because it's just, like, it's too hard to get into. Because people have gripes about movies, you know, it's like, oh, it's old, it's in another language, it's black and white, it's bad quality,
for the
or
longest
something
time.
like that, or, like, it's,
I didn't
oh,
see
it's
Black and
so
White.
long, it's
It was
3
long.
hours long, it's 7
When I was
hours
younger.
long, stuff like that.
Well, like,
So that is also a factor.
Well, younger
So
time,
why I
long
want to
ago.
say
I'm saying like 60.
put every all at once, arguably
I
one,
didn't even know you back
is
then.
because of how fucking popular it is now. Like how big of a movie. How, I mean, to me and Chris, and honestly, I think Carlos would maybe agree. Like it's not like crazy art housey. It is definitely unconventional in some senses, but in some senses it is.
I think that the charm of that movie, or like the why it works so well, is because it combines art house elements with a really good heart and a good like structure as far as like the through line is the family.
No, I get
I
it.
feel
is
like
that-
popularity just on its own feels kind of like arbitrary there, or at least like secondary to like other things.
But I also, honestly, I would put it like here. I wouldn't go put it up here.
Well, the point is like, you know,
It's closer to
I just
level
thought
1 than a level 2.
No,
Alright,
I don't
I
know
just
if
thought
it's
no, it's closer.
I mean, it was a successful movie for like the budget and for how much it made. But like after the it made like 200 million.
Yeah, and it didn't.
make
And to
anything more
me,
than that.
yeah, and it didn't really feel like a movie where they were trying to make money. It didn't.
No,
It
no.
didn't.
That was a
No,
clear. They wanted to tell a
exactly.
story.
That's
and
why-
the Daniels are creative.
Yeah.
They want to just have
And
fun
like,
with it.
and
mean,
like I
think
said, it's most likely in 2 more than 1. I said maybe 1, but like it's average
But don't
people.
you think the palatable is secondary to the other things? I mean, the popularity is What did I say?
I don't know.
No,
Say,
no, I don't-
say what you wanted to say.
You said how palatable, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
the popularity is secondary to the other things. How palatable
Yeah,
it is,
popular,
and like how like much it sticks to kind of conventional storytelling versus being wild, and people
Yeah.
don't know how to take that.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
also see it like I thought the point of
Slash also luck.
I
and
also just think the
popularity.
point of an iceberg is the tip
Yeah,
of
I
the
was
iceberg
literally
you
gonna
can
say that.
see.
you can see it's clear. Everybody knows it. Everybody can see that
I was
shit.
gonna say-
All eyes are on it.
But-
And the deeper you go, people don't see that shit. We just watched the best movie ever made. 10 out of 10. Carl's 10 out of 10. Chris, you know what you want to give it?
Strong 9.
Okay.
Top
yes.
20 of all time. Top 20.
Mm-hmm. Devin,
My favorite
do you have any idea? So like,
Yeah, do you know what you
I
want
have to.
you have to
That's
think
tough.
about it.
Well,
Well, I
Cinema
don't know.
don't rate shit anymore.
Wait,
You
Devin.
just, you just put
That's
it on
facts.
your,
Yeah,
Devin,
you
you don't even
log
give a
it.
star.
Are you gonna give it a 3, a 4, or a 5?
That's.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing, actually. Your guys' ratings.
Yeah.
They're all
I
different.
will say
They're
the
all
reason
different.
why
They're all
I've
different.
kind of like, and I thought was like, oh, this and it. Anyway, I almost feel like you guys should be the ones not rating things
Why?
because the reason why I kind of stopped is because this. I mean, it's kind of stupid, but
Yeah,
Ethan
nothing
Hawke
to
had
do
a
with
little interview,
Yes,
and he
I've
talked
seen that.
about, and
I've
he's
seen
like,
that.
yeah, I think we like. I don't remember.
He was
how.
in the
But
Criterion
anyway.
closet or leaving the closet or some
No,
shit like that.
no,
Yeah.
he was just on a podcast.
Okay.
What was he
Anyway,
hold
he
on,
talks
just let
about how he's like he kind of had a moment of like kind of a little bit weird going off of like, oh, this country always tries to like everything's a competition, like people want to know how much box office it made
Yeah.
and people want to rate it, and
Yeah,
Letterboxd is totally using that type of like this or that and like better and like ranking stuff over, but you guys that are really obsessed with like it as the art form and subjectivity and like you know what I mean. Anyway,
yeah.
Like,
Here's
I've
how,
talked-
hold on,
I've
here's
talked-
how
I've talked about it before with him, where it's like, don't you think that like ranking stuff or putting it like that is kind of taken away from it? Because at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
in
the
itself,
list,
yeah.
but
Here's-
it's just fun though.
Here's
You're
how
gonna
I fight.
encapsulate
Here's how
it
I
in a
fight
one
against
type
that.
of
It
thing.
is fun, just in general, because you get to
Yes.
like quantify
I
like
get
stuff
that.
that you like a little more than others.
Yeah.
How I'll push up against that though is the way I see it is it's like, okay, with a lot of people, honestly, like when I hang out with people that don't watch movies and I watch a movie with them, I'm like, oh, what would you give it like out of 10 just for fun? What would you give it out of 10? They always have a hard time. I think the more movies you watch, and like all up and down that iceberg, the more movies you watch, the more you develop your taste in the styles that you like and like what you look for in movies, then the easier it is to rate things. Because I think for a lot of people that don't watch movies as much as we do, you know, because like we're losers. We like, with how much we watch movies, we know what we like, and it's easier to determine a score.
I
With
would
people
say-
that don't regularly watch films, they're kind of just like, I watched Joker recently. You know, I rewatched it, and I watched it with James. And I asked him like, hey, what'd you think of the movie? And he was like, oh yeah, it was pretty good. You know, it was like there's some things I liked about it. You know, it's not bad. 9 out of 10. And I'm like, 9 out of 10? Like, whoa, that's a big score. You know, funny enough, I actually didn't say that, but in my head, I'm like, whoa, that's like,
That's the big
if
one.
any of us, like me, Mackenzie, Chris, Carlos, if any of us gave anything a 4 or higher, that's big.
like,
If
whoa.
something gets a 5, like something new that they watch, like they hadn't seen before, gets a 5, big news. That's huge, right? But that's just because we watch so much shit, it's rare now, you know? So that's kind of my push up against. I totally understand, like, oh, why are we trying to quantify a subjective thing?
Yeah.
I get
But
that.
you just are looking at as just the subjective.
Exactly.
side of
It's
it.
just like, oh, I like it this much. That does not
It's
mean
just me.
I do not think
Selfish.
even
But
like
it
I
is
find this
that.
the best movie I've ever seen. That's the thing. It's like even though I find it hard to believe something could be better than this out there, I can't say it's the best. It's hard to say the best movie ever made. We say that a lot, but we really mean the best movie we've ever seen.
It's just
I always mean my favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That's when we say that, that's what I mean. But like to say it's the best
Like,
movie
your
ever
favorite
made,
is
there's
the
so
best
much
to you.
shit I haven't seen. There's so much shit. Maybe
They're
something
one
will
the
just
same.
come out of the fucking
When you say the
blue,
best, it's like
and
the
I'll
same.
be like, it's better than the whole nine.
Fact.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's
I
why.
I said it.
I just have even a harder time like quantifying.
You look
this.
triumphant right now.
Yeah.
He's always
Quantifying this one because I feel like there just are a lot of strong feelings. And it's like I don't know, what's a weird food
Tofu. Just kidding.
that you can
Oh,
like,
a
have, like,
sauteed summer squash
for,
dish.
I don't know, yeah,
Goat's milk.
yeah, like a fermented sardine wine. I don't know, like I'm trying to come up with something random that's like a strong flavor,
Caviar.
like something kind of crazy that's a
It's
really
acquired
strong
taste.
flavor. No, not even a acquired
Jellyfish.
taste.
Just
Like,
exotic.
I'm one that can like be like, okay, I
Right.
tried this, and it's like, oh, I don't want to eat this every single day.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad.
Oh,
that I
we're
found
doing
an
the- we're
interesting
doing the burger
flavor,
thing
You know
again.
what I mean? Like
Whereas,
that was
like,
an
I
interesting
like
flavor,
fast food
and it's
stuff.
hard to like quantify it on
I
like
can never
any
count
scale
them
compared to
together.
like regular food type of stuff.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. Well, that's
It's like
anyway,
sometimes
and that's
I
why
want
you
to
gotta
eat
eat
an
more.
In-N-Out burger.
You gotta
and
eat
that's
more
you.
wicked shit, and then you'll kind of be
Sometimes
like, I
I
kind
want
of get it.
to
now.
eat
That's the thing. There's
fine
oh,
dining,
yeah,
and that's like
There's a lot of
Um,
shit. There's a lot of shit you have to eat. That's
Yeah,
another
yeah.
truth.
Anyway, so I feel like I would have to be like, oh, these aspects I can really appreciate for that, but like,
What if
anyway.
you just put it this way?
But-
It's like you can respect it, but you don't like it as much. But you don't love
that's
it
the thing.
as much
I don't
as
even
you
want to
respect
say
it.
not like it.
Well, I'm not saying that. You just don't love it as much as you respect it. You know, because you could respect something like crazy and be like, hey, it does a lot of things that I think are really cool, and what it's going for, I respect that, and you know, no film has ever done that before.
It's like main
but it
persona.
doesn't really work for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like.
That's the thing. Like, I'm trying to go to that analogy of the food. It's like I might not even like think like, oh, I didn't like it, but it's such a strong flavor that I don't want to eat it every day. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I might even like it and
No, I get it.
appreciate it.
I mean, shit, I don't.
But it's like,
Yeah, best movie I've ever seen. I don't want to watch it every day.
yeah,
I don't. I want to you want to savor it. You want to treasure it. You want to you know not over, as Chris says, overexpose it. Yeah.
Anyway,
So last thoughts.
it's tough. Well, I'm just trying to get down.
You
to
don't
a
need to give it a
number
rating
that
off
you
the
want.
spot right now if you don't want to. I'm just last thoughts.
Well, I also don't want to go points. Right now I'm feeling like I want to go to a 7.5 though.
okay.
Maybe an 8.
Okay. So like
7.5.
okay.
Or
I thought we didn't do points.
8.
8.
8 great.
8 in focusing on
8
appreciating specifically the things that are
And hey, man,
appreciated.
it's
Of
happening
a
already.
wild, creative
Yeah.
vision of insanity.
And hey, it's happening already. You're forgetting everything you just saw. Like so much happened in that
no,
movie.
I remember it all.
Oh yeah. What was
Yeah.
the first scene? I already told you, dang it.
Me and the interview.
What happened at 25 minutes?
At 25
No one
minutes?
can do that shit.
No.
I can.
Okay.
That's what I was talking about the thing.
All right then.
Yeah, I got it.
It's a shame Mackenzie
Go
couldn't
25
make
minutes
it.
right now. I'm just kidding.
Thus concludes the Holy Mountain.